Hello, welcome to Encarando o Sobrenatural Official. This is Davi speaking, bringing you a video that will remind you, for those of you who have been with us for a while, who are veterans, of our midnight hour. Well then, my brothers, the video went viral. A video that blew up on TikTok, Twitter, and Instagram even made it to the trending topics. Because it shows how technology can help us identify paranormal presences. When we talk about this, about technology helping with that, it's a topic that many people criticize, actually. But you must have seen that many paranormal investigators, and I include myself in this group, use devices. I myself use the K2, the K20 Spirit Espiritismo box. And there are people who don't understand anything, but nowadays people feel, entitled to criticize everything, also because that's a way to get views, to boost their channel, and so on. There are people who don't understand anything, but criticize simply because criticizing ends up attracting people, especially haters, right? So the guy starts growing like that. That's what we see the most. It's the guy who, for example, starts criticizing investors, then starts going after big names. Big names. And then in the middle of it, he offers his own, right? Cariano even sued the guy. I think he won. Because the guy was doing exactly that. He called him every name in the book. He even accused him of absurd things. I was watching that interview, actually, the hearing, right? And in the middle, he offered his own product. So that's unfair competition, right? But anyway, nowadays we're taught, through the doctrine of the mainstream media itself, that for what? Because there's honor. That's nonsense. So people have thrown honor in the trash. But anyway, these devices, my brothers, are widely used to detect paranormal presences. Before I explain to you how it works, and I say this as someone who has researched this for years and has used these devices, I can tell you that yes, it does work, 100%. First, I'm going to play this video so you can see what we're talking about. Thank you. First, I want to thank the brother who sent it, okay? It was Gilvan Kunha. A big hug to him. He sent it a while ago, but I only had time to do it now. So if you sent a suggestion, we might be able to do yours too. Okay, brother? Send it in. Let's watch this video right away, which the guy posted like this. Over time, I've done several tests with the Tesla's sensors and cameras, right? The Tesla car. You know that a Tesla is an extremely high-tech car, right? In fact, I don't even consider it a car. To me, it's a robot. But anyway, a robot with 4 wheels. It's your work car. Tell it, pick me up at 5 and it will, right? So it has very advanced, very precise sensors, so it can even drive the car by itself, right? So the robot can drive itself in this case. Então, so whatever you can imagine in terms of ultra-advanced sensors, this car has it, right? After all, if a child, an elderly person, or anyone crosses in front, it has to detect that to prepare the brakes and everything and warn you ahead of time, right? It's like a scanner that goes along the street to know if there's, someone who might suddenly cross. Because the reasoning of the machine is different from that of a human. So all these possibilities have to be anticipated there. In case, also so that the car doesn't suddenly stop and another one crashes into it from behind, as has already happened before. Or also if someone crosses and there's not enough time to brake. So all of this is already being scanned. The car is passing by, it's scanning. Look, there's a kid there, there's a dog there, there's an old lady up ahead, there are other people there. The car goes, with these sensors detecting all of that. But the guy goes into the cemetery, and that's when he says, and this ultra-advanced radar, this sonar that the car has, starts to detect that there's a human presence there, when in fact there isn't. And the worst part is, it suddenly disappears from the radar. So, let's watch the video together, okay? He says here, it's something that always caught my attention. When the car detects people around, usually it shows pretty accurately where they are. But this time something happened that I couldn't explain. So let's take a look, right? Let's see here. He enters a cemetery, folks. Take a look with me. Look.
Did you get it? It disappeared. Let's go. Let's go. Hey.
Look, it counted 1.
He disappeared too. There, look. There's someone there. Let's see. People. Yeah.
Hey, look over there.
It was walking over there. Look, this one's walking. This one here, look. It's walking. Look, let me see it, Junior. It disappeared. It went to the back. It ran to the back. Back up, Junior. I can't. When I back up, the world loses its dream. That gives me chills. I saw it standing still, never moving. Look, here it is. They're here. Look over there. This is a spirit. They appear and disappear. Did it already run by? It was walking.
I get goosebumps, guys, because I did this for years, right? These investigations that he saw, our old journal. By the way, all the information I'm going to share with you is there, no restrictions, okay? Here, no matter how much I try to explain, some things are considered crimes if said. They're seen as discrimination or something similar. These days, you can get sued for almost anything. So, if you get our Velho Diario, you'll have this information. You'll even understand, my brothers, why your life sometimes feels so held back. Sometimes a person has a good job, is with the person they wanted, but lives in deep sadness and sometimes has these forces literally following you. I'm not sitting here to tell you, look, it's a human spirit, look, it's a demon, look, it's forces of nature. I just respect your opinions, right? I respect those possibilities. I have my own view, of course I do, right? But I don't impose my view, I don't take my research as the absolute truth. I know these things exist. I don't know what they are. That's up to each of you to interpret, right? Now, what I can tell you with 100% certainty is that these things exist and they can really mess up your life. I have no doubt that those presences were there. We can talk about whether they're human, whether it's something that grows stronger. I don't know. If they're spirits, that's your call. Me, personally, Davi, my personal opinion, not wanting to indoctrinate or encourage you to believe this, I think human spirits do exist. Yes, I believe in that, okay? But then it's up to each person's interpretation, but the Bible says, right, that man was given the right to live only once. Exactly, but I don't see that at any moment. Except for that passage, right, that says, those who died don't praise God and all, it's already settled there, they're just waiting for judgment. I think that's a misinterpretation, right? Because he's speaking from an earth-based perspective. Those who die no longer have the body to praise God. What happens next? Even he, that person who's speaking there, the prophet, he didn't know what happened. But Christ himself later reveals it, right? When the transfiguration happens, two spirits come down, right? Elijah and Moses. And they come to welcome Christ. I mean, there are spirit beings. They have always existed. And God doesn't treat one differently from the other. To God, they are all the same. Is that right? So, my brothers, it looks like oil here in my... Let me see if I can fix this a little bit, family. This is because my chroma key here is crap. Look. It has to stay like this, guys. I'll fix it later. It got a bit better, right? Anyway. The Bible, and we also have these... let's put it this way. These contradictions, we put them all there in our Velho Diario do Davi. You'll see it there with no filters, literally, right? For those of you who want to learn a little more about this. But anyway, family, how does technology manage to identify these things? Over the course of these studies and in the United States, they take paranormal activity very seriously, right? They notice, case after case. And if you do your own research, you'll also find that it's very common when there are hauntings, especially evil or harmful ones, for the lights to flicker, for there to be power outages, for cell phones. It's happened to me during investigations. I've entered an area, and that's it. The battery is full. Brand new phone. Not today. Today it's old, right? But right after I bought it, I would enter a place, and when you look, the battery is almost dead. This even happened with a vehicle. I went to an area where an accident had just happened. The person lost their life. I went there to see if any force caused it, since no one understood the accident. It happened on a straight road. The car was new, the guy simply lost control. It seems like he flew off the road. When we got there, the device started spiking. And that's when I tell you that you really need to be careful with this. Because look, when we use the K2, I have the K2 and the K20 here, the spirit box. These devices, they're wave detectors. So it's not like someone invented that thing specifically to detect ghosts. No. I see a bunch of idiots talking about this without understanding. No, it's not fake. These devices were made for civilian purposes, for us to detect if there are these waves. So if you take a K2, for example, and you want to see if there's an internet signal, you use it right when you pick it up. For example, if I turned it on here, it would pick up a signal because there's a router sending it to my machine, right? The PC is right here. I'm picking up internet signals here, so it'll detect them. So, when you're going to use a device like this, you have to see what area you're going to use it in. Because it's no use using it, for example, in an apartment with thousands of neighbors there, all using the internet with lots of signals. The device is going to pick that up. In fact, I've already received messages, right? People even bought the diary. Davi, I'm going to buy a K2. I'm going to buy K20. I say, brother, don't buy it. Because there, in your home, the guy explains to me where he lives. I say it's going to pick up a signal. And sometimes you don't even have anything. And you're going to start thinking you do. So, it's not useful everywhere. We used it in investigations. Why? Because I would go to places where the power was shut off. There weren't even any wires left. There had never been internet there. So, you get to these places. You turn it on. The device shows 0. Suddenly, you start asking questions. That's why I say it exists, folks. You start asking questions related to things that happened in that area. Mainly evil things, bad things. And suddenly, these signals start to appear. Talking about it gives me goosebumps because we lived through it. So, you start talking. Look, this crime happened here, like this, like that, and then the device starts picking it up. And then you turn on the spirit box, which works differently. It scans through the radio stations, and there it uses snippets, right, supposedly to send a message. Is it hard to interpret this message? Yes. Why? Because many times they speak backwards, or as if it were an anagram. Did you get it? The first word is the second to last. The last word is the first, and that's how it gets distorted. So, you'll have to take those little sentences. It's a lot of work to do that. Little isolated sentences. Put each one in its proper place and see if they make any sense. I don't know, so don't ask me. But why do they talk like that? I don't know, man. I don't know if communication from there to here is difficult, but I think there will come a point when technology will allow that. I even think that the 13 families already have this technology. Thomas Edison invented it. We discussed that too. What device did he invent? He even announced it in the media. There was a bit of hysteria. Then he himself came and denied it. We put it out there, and it was treated as a joke for a long time, until the guy found his diary. Then it became clear, all of this is in Davy's old diary. Family, I'm not just saying that because I made it. But there's nothing like it on social media. Nothing available for you. With as much information as our diary. So all those articles are there, including those investigations I did. Sometimes I recorded and uploaded them to our channel, Emerson Davai. Those investigations are there. But sometimes, because we know it's being recorded, that it's going to be published, some details, right, that we had. That could help identify who was in those areas. We don't mention in the video. Yeah, but in the diary, we put everything. So, my brothers, the Americans, as you've seen, were coming. The United States is much older than Brazil, right? So they realize that these forces manifest themselves. And then I think, right? But that's just my guess. Because they don't have a physical body, matter. They need some kind of energy. Because what is this world made of? Atoms, right? So there has to be matter. For them to create phenomena, for them to manifest. So they draw energy from somewhere. It could be from a cell phone battery, a car battery. It could be from your own electrical current, the energy. They will draw it from somewhere, even from you. Some of these entities they want to draw energy from you. So man, I went to so-and-so's house. I went to an area over there, but I came back tired. I didn't do anything, but I came back exhausted. I came back with no energy at all. You might have been a victim of this. It's a fact. I'm sure you've been in a place like that before. Because just like what happened in the video you saw, the thing appears and disappears, but it's still there. And it does drain your energy, yes? It can even, my brother, encourage you to do something or put something in your path so that things go really badly for you. Yes, that can happen. That's why Christ himself said it. Our struggle is not against the flesh. That it was important. That prayer was just as important as bread. Because you are constantly being attacked. You need to pray. When Christ also said, my brothers, blessed, when he said there, I think it was to Thomas, right? To Thomas, he said, blessed are those who believe without seeing. A lot of people think it's a blind faith. The religious leaders put it that way. You have to have faith. You can't be a doubting Thomas. If you question, you're being a doubting Thomas. No. That has nothing to do with it, what Christ said. I believe it was a reminder of these things, my brothers, because let's use this example. Alex Crowley. Why do famous artists like the Beatles and so many others still fight over Alex Crowley's mansion to this day? These guys are worth billions. A rocker lives there now, right? But once he passes, people are already fighting to buy it. I've already explained in our old diary why that place matters, and I've mentioned it in other videos too. That was a church that was desecrated. They locked the Christians inside and set it on fire. So from that, a breach was opened in the veil. It became easier to contact evil entities through there. She, Alex Crowley, bought it for that exact reason, because it became possible then to access the demons that are in the deepest, in the very depths of hell. So he does that, and these artists, most of them, they don't believe in anything. They're atheists. I only believe in what I see. You remember Christ. Blessed are those who believe without seeing. Because if the guy says he only believes in what he sees, the devil will give him proof. So that guy later gets an invitation from a friend. You don't believe it, do you, so-and-so? No, I don't. Then let's go. There's a guy who claims he can prove it exists, though he doesn't say he's involved. So he continues. That doesn't exist. That's nonsense. Let's go. And I've seen it. And people who said, look, man, so what happened? A glass of water dries up right in front of you. You put the glass down. Look at this glass. Hold the glass there. There's an entity here like this. Look, it wants water. Lift the glass. The guy holds it here. See? When he looks, the water in the glass dries up. So these are proofs. The picture falls. Check your house. There are various pictures on the wall. The guy. Damn, there are. Wherever you are at home, it's time. It's going to fall to the floor. It's going to break into so many pieces. Like this, like this, like this. And the guy shows up. He forgets even when he thinks he doesn't. This kind of thing happens. He has dreams. He sees. He gets warnings. Guy who made a pact. Family. He received protection from an entity. From a demon. And the demon said to him, look, you're going over there to place a bet on the horse races. They have those horse races, right? Not here in Brazil. But there are many countries that do. So the guy places a bet on the horse there. If you get it right, you make good money. You can bet on that one. That you're going to win. And the guy placed a bet. And he won. Wow. The next day he went again. The entity told him which horse would win and said to bet on it. He used all his first day winnings to bet on another horse. And he won again. When the third day came, and sir, in front of this place where this game took place, and when he arrived, he already called him by name. He shook his hand. He said, look, I'm asking you not to play here anymore. He was surprised and said, no, I've only come twice. This is the third time. I know that. But there's a force that's helping you, and there's a force that helps me. And it already explained to me what's happening. I already know that you won. I already know that you'll play again. You're going to win. But that same force that helped you, I have one too. I'm asking you not to come here anymore. Then he gets in touch with his entity, and it says, don't go anymore. Because the betting house owner's entity was stronger than his. So look at that, family. So evil opens doors too. It does. It does. But unfortunately, you pay for it with your own soul. They're momentary victories. Here. This guy says, my brothers, that he even saw stones. Extremely heavy ones. You'd need a machine to lift them, and they floated. By these entities that are being summoned. So those who go with this, I don't believe in anything attitude. And that's why I believe that when Christ was speaking there, he wasn't talking about blind faith. He was talking about this. about you not being that kind of person who only believes in what you see. Because if you only believe in what you see and you go after evil, evil will show itself to you. And you will have to keep your own promise. I only believe in what I see. So if I see it, I become a believer. So Christ already in his infinite wisdom already, blessed is he who believes without seeing. It's not for nothing, my brothers, that many say gambling is the devil's work, right? I think so, right? Not every game. I think that, for example, me, myself, every now and then I buy, right? I buy from Hazuki here. Sometimes he raffles off cool cars, which I like. Hashimoto, I bought the one for the 300EX. I'm going to buy the one for the Skyline R32. And from the German guy with the caravan. Every now and then I keep buying, folks. Because, you see, they're good people, right? They're just regular people. But when it's, you know, those people, strange. Anyway, I don't know, my brothers. I just know there's something. So, this video was used to illustrate, right, exactly how this thing works. These entities. There's a really good movie, which is actually from Globo, just so you know. It's called The Man Who Challenged the Devil. That movie is good. That movie talks about a lot of things. And there's an interesting point, right? When Ujuara, he's walking in the middle of the night, and there's an old house, and he stops to rest. And there, like the movie says, Preto Velho, right? Another one there. Other entities are sitting. He thinks they're people because they look like people. And he says, we're not alive, no. We're made from the dust of the night. He asked, if you're not alive, how are you here? Talking to me. But it was my brother. They were facing a temptation there. They were there to give a warning, to deliver a message. And this happens in real life. Several truck drivers. Look, family, if there's one good thing you can do, it's to talk to a truck driver. You see a truck driver with gray hair like that. You can go up to him, my brother, and talk to him casually. He'll tell you these things. Now, why don't you see this being shared? Because nowadays people have been trained to ridicule, not to believe, to call the guy a fraud. So what does the guy do? He needs to be an ordinary person. He's retired or drives his truck for a living. Why risk exposure? To tell these things, just to be called a liar? Some people, my brothers, still keep their honor, and that offends. So when you're friendly, you come up to them casually, the guys will talk to you. But them going so far as to post it on social media, that's not going to happen. But it's not because they don't make it public, that they didn't have those experiences. And they say, my brothers, I also wrote about it in our old diary. Cemetery case, the girl asked for a ride. She got into the car. She seemed like a person, but she was very cold. Very cold, very pale. She got out, opened the door, just like a living person. But suddenly she disappeared. And several truck drivers describe these things. Now, why does it happen? That, I don't know. Why does it happen in some places but not others? I don't know, my brothers. But I actually went to a cemetery where strange sounds could be heard in the city of Agrestina. And I saw it, family. One thing, too, that looked like a hand coming out of a grave. I don't know what that was. I believe if I had had the courage to stop, go around and look, I wouldn't have seen anything. But that thing appeared. It was meant to be seen. Why does it happen? I don't know. Unfinished business, forces of hunger, I don't know, family. But what happens, happens. All right, my brothers, I'll end it here. If you enjoyed this topic, we can share more. Which is intense. It's intense. When I remember it, family, I get chills. And another thing, if you think about it, back then I wouldn't recommend it. Okay? I don't recommend it at all because I don't know the reason either, but they follow along. I did an investigation in a motel, my brothers, and we caught a scent. A strong perfume scent. Like the kind of perfume some women wear, you know? The kind you can smell on their body because it was really strong. We heard moaning there. We heard dripping. It wasn't raining. There was no water there. Everything was dry there, abandoned. And after a week, when we get home, we smell the same scent inside our house. So, whatever it was that was there, it followed. That's why I tell you, my brothers, sometimes you see things that are hard for you. Damn, man, I'm in a situation here that's really tough. You're a victim of these forces without realizing it. So, my brothers, anyway, if you want more knowledge, there are even things that drive them away and things that attract. We talk about it. Our old diary. God bless you, my brothers. Take care. The link will be in the description. I'm out.